A steel marker sits bolted to a wall inside the International Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. It reads 100 kilometers. That precise altitude, not 99, not 101, is the legal boundary where national airspace ends and outer space begins. Above it, no government claims jurisdiction. Below it, every flight is logged, tracked, and controlled. And beyond it, something else begins entirely. 3 councils made the decision. Hippo, 393. Carthage, 397. Rome, 382. Banned, buried, called dangerous. The Book of Enoch was stripped from the accepted canon, removed from church libraries, and declared heretical reading for any Christian layperson. For over 1,400 years, no complete copy was known to exist in the Western world. Then a single manuscript surfaced. 1. Found in Ethiopia, preserved inside a tradition that never accepted the ban. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church had held it continuously since at least the 4th century, copying it by hand across generations, treating it not as forbidden literature, but as sacred record. Dr. Michael Knibb, whose 1978 Oxford translation remains the standard academic reference, worked directly from that Ethiopian corpus. What he translated was not allegory, not poetry, not vision language dressed in metaphor. It was a structured, detailed account of a journey upward, through layers, into a constructed space above the solid dome of the world. That is the thesis of this episode. The Book of Enoch does not describe heaven in the theological sense. It describes a physical architecture, chambers, walls, ceilings of specific materials, inhabitants with specific functions, and boundaries that correspond with measurable precision to structures modern science has since confirmed and named. In the next several minutes, you will see what the text actually says, what researchers found in those same locations centuries later, and why the data has never been reconciled with the source that described it first. If forbidden biblical cosmology is the kind of history that keeps you up at night, hit subscribe. Every week, we surface what was removed. The passage sits in the 14th chapter of 1 Enoch, verse 10. In Knibb's 1978 Oxford translation, the line reads, "The ceiling was like the path of the stars, not like the night sky viewed from below, like the path the stars travel." The distinction matters enormously, and the original Gaia's manuscript makes it unambiguous. The Gaia's term used in that passage is Rak'ah. It does not mean sky, it does not mean atmosphere. In its root form, Rak'ah means a surface that has been hammered out, beaten flat, made solid, extended. It is the same root used in Genesis for the firmament, but the Enoch text does something Genesis does not. It places Enoch inside a structure built above the Rak'ah, above the hammered plate. He is no longer beneath it looking up. He has passed through it and entered what lies on the other side. The structure he describes has a floor, walls, and a ceiling. The floor is described as crystal. The walls are described as crystal. And the ceiling, that specific line in verse 10, is described as the path of the stars. Knibb notes that the gaze here carries a sense of orbital motion, of a surface defined by the movement of celestial bodies along it, not merely illuminated by them. The text is describing a vaulted crystalline chamber whose upper boundary is defined by stellar transit paths. That is a very specific architectural claim. And Enoch, writing somewhere between the 3rd and 1st century before the Common Era, had no framework in which to fabricate it. Here is the impossible knowledge problem. In 1958, the International Geophysical Year produced the first complete mapping of Earth's upper atmospheric shells. James Van Allen, working from data returned by Explorer 1, confirmed that the atmosphere is not a single continuous gradient. It is nested, layered, discrete shells with distinct boundaries, distinct temperatures, and distinct electromagnetic properties. The thermosphere sits above the mesosphere. The exosphere sits above the thermosphere. Each layer has a ceiling and a floor. Each transition zone is a boundary that behaves differently from the layer below it. The layers are not metaphorical. They are measurable, chartable, physically distinct, and they were entirely unknown to any civilization before the 20th century. Enoch describes nested chambers. A structure he enters has an outer room and an inner room. The outer room is cold and dark. The inner room is hot and bright. He uses the word fire repeatedly for the interior and the word ice for the exterior passage. Modern atmospheric science assigns those same thermal signatures to those same layers. The mesosphere, which sits roughly between 50 and 85 kilometers altitude, is the coldest layer in Earth's atmosphere. Temperatures there drop to -90 degrees Celsius. It is colder than anywhere on the surface. The thermosphere, directly above it, reaches temperatures between 500 and 2,000 degrees Celsius, depending on solar activity. Cold outer chamber, hot inner chamber. Enoch's two-room architecture matches the thermal profile of the mesosphere-thermosphere boundary, with a precision that has no explanation inside a pre-modern knowledge framework. The Ge'ez manuscript tradition that preserved this text was isolated from Western scientific development for the entirety of that development. Ethiopian scribes copying First Enoch in the 16th century had no access to balloon measurements, no access to spectroscopic analysis, no access to rocket telemetry. They copied what was there. What was there described a cold passage leading into a burning interior, nested inside a crystalline dome whose ceiling moved with the stars. In 1958, we confirmed the cold passage. We confirmed the burning interior. We confirmed the nested shells. We named them. We mapped them. We assigned them units and coordinates and temperature gradients, and we did not look back at the text that described them first. The structure Enoch enters is not finished at 2 chambers. He continues inward. And this is where it gets disturbing. There is a manuscript held in the British Library, catalogued under Ethiopic Manuscript 485, translated by Dr. Michael Knibb in 1978 in an Oxford edition that remains the academic standard today. It is a Ge'ez copy of the astronomical book, the section of First Enoch running from what scholars label chapters 72 through 82. Knibb's translation is meticulous, and what it describes inside the firmament is not poetic. It is architectural. 6 portals. That is the word the text uses. 6 fixed apertures built into the structure of the firmament itself, through which the sun enters at dawn and exits at dusk. The moon uses the same portals. The timing of each entry and exit point changes by the season. The text assigns specific portal positions to specific periods of the year, the longest days, the shortest days, the midpoints between them. The Ge'ez term is mawakel. It does not mean window. It does not mean gate in the symbolic sense. The root describes a fixed structural opening, a permanent aperture in a solid surface. Not a metaphor, an engineering term. Knibb notes this in his commentary. The ancient scribe was not reaching for poetic language. He was describing fixed positions in a physical boundary. Now hold that for a moment, because here is what makes this precise. The 6 portal positions correspond to the solstice and equinox angles of the sun's apparent path across the sky. At the summer solstice, the sun rises farthest north. At the winter solstice, farthest south. At the equinoxes, it bisects the horizon exactly. The text assigns Portal 1 and Portal 6 to the extreme northern and southern positions. Portals 3 and 4 bracket the equinox midpoint. The geometry is explicit. The sequence is correct. He had no way to know this. Enoch predates systematic Greek astronomy by centuries. The Babylonian records that first began formalizing solstice tracking were not widely circulated. Yet the astronomical book encodes the angular geometry of the sun's seasonal path with a precision that aligns directly with what we now measure. NASA's Orbital Mechanics Division confirms the Earth's axial tilt at 23.4 degrees. That tilt is the engine behind every solstice and equinox angle. It is the reason the sun appears to shift between portal positions across the year. The text does not use degrees, it uses portal numbers. But the underlying geometry is identical. The ancients called them fixed apertures in the firmament. We call them the limiting azimuths of solar declination. Same phenomenon. different century. And the astronomical book does not stop at the sun's path. It tracks the moon through the same 6 portals on a separate but interlocking schedule. The lunar cycle it describes, the waxing and waning periods, the days of visibility, the relationship between the lunar month and the solar year matches the synodic month of 29.5 days. That number is not approximated in the text. The day count is exact. Nibb's 1978 translation renders this in plain English. The manuscript itself, a Ge'ez copy housed in the British Library, was produced in the 15th century from a lineage of earlier copies traced back to the Dead Sea Scroll fragments at Qumran. Fragments designated 4Q208 and 4Q209, currently held at the Israel Antiquities Authority in Jerusalem. The chain of custody is documented. The content is consistent across every version. 6 portals, fixed apertures, solstice geometry encoded in ancient Ge'ez, confirmed by modern orbital mechanics. The text is not guessing at the sky. It is describing a mechanism, and the mechanism involves more than light. But here is what makes this stranger. The portals are not the only structures Enoch finds inside the firmament. Past the portals, he enters a region the text describes not as open space, but as a place of confinement, a place where things are held. The passage is specific. 1 Enoch, verses 12 through 16 of the 18th section. Ge'ez manuscript, British Library, Ethiopic 485. Nibb translation, 1978. Enoch stands at a place beyond the portals, beyond the luminaries' paths, and he sees something that stops him. The text calls it a place of punishment, a void filled with fire, and it is not empty. The Ge'ez phrase is ma'aser nur, literally, the binding of fire. Not a metaphor for hell, not an allegory for divine judgment. The root word ma'aser is a legal term. It means confinement with a boundary, imprisonment. The fire is the medium, and the boundary is structural. What Enoch describes is a containment zone, a defined region inside the firmament where something is held in place and cannot leave. He had no framework for what he was seeing. The physics of charged particle confinement would not be formalized for another 2,500 years. Yet the description he records is not vague. It is topological. There is an inner region and an outer region. The inner region is more intense. The outer region is larger but less concentrated. Between them, there is a boundary. Things caught inside cannot cross it. In 1958, James Van Allen analyzed data from Explorer 1, the first successful American satellite. What he found reshaped our understanding of near-Earth space. Surrounding the planet, beginning at approximately 1,000 kilometers above the surface, are 2 concentric zones of trapped charged particles, protons and electrons caught by Earth's magnetic field. The inner belt begins at 1,000 kilometers and extends to roughly 13,500 kilometers. The outer belt begins there and reaches outward to approximately 60,000 kilometers. The particles inside cannot escape. The magnetic field boundary holds them in place permanently. NASA's current documentation, publicly available through the Goddard Space Flight Center, describes the Van Allen belts as regions of intense radiation, zones of confinement with measurable inner and outer boundaries, with the inner zone more concentrated and more energetically intense than the outer. The topology is not metaphorical. It is precisely what Enoch described: an inner region of binding fire, an outer region, a structural boundary between them that nothing crosses. The century bridge here is not a loose parallel. Enoch's Ma'aser Nur, the binding of fire, describes a containment mechanism at the edge of the firmament. Van Allen's belts begin at 1,000 kilometers. The Kármán line, the recognized boundary of space, sits at 100 kilometers. Between 100 and 1,000 kilometers is the zone where spacecraft can orbit. Above 1,000 kilometers, the prison begins. Nothing biological survives prolonged exposure. No manned mission has passed through the outer belt intact. The confinement is real, measurable, and ongoing. Nib notes in his 1978 commentary that the prison imagery in this passage is among the most architecturally specific in the entire text. He was analyzing it theologically, but the architecture he describes, nested zones, inner intensity, outer diffusion, a fixed boundary, maps onto Van Allen belt topology with a precision that goes beyond coincidence. The Watchers, in Enoch's account, are bound there, held in the binding of fire, unable to leave. The text treats this as a deliberate containment, engineered, maintained, permanent. The Van Allen belts are maintained by Earth's magnetic field. They have existed for as long as the magnetic field has existed. They are not decaying. They are not temporary. The prison Enoch walked through is still operational, and the map he left behind, the one that encodes portals and prisons and nested structures inside the firmament, that map still exists, in multiple locations, in multiple languages, verified by multiple chains of custody, which means you can check it yourself. The Ge'ez manuscripts are held in Aksum, Ethiopia, at the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. Their existence and location are publicly documented by UNESCO and the British Library's Endangered Archives program. The Church Council records that removed First Enoch from the Western canon are verifiable at the Vatican Apostolic Archive in Rome. The Van Allen belt data is open access through NASA's Space Physics Data Facility, logged continuously since Explorer 1 in 1958. The Kármán line at 100 kilometers is enforced today, not by law, but by physics. And the mechanism Enoch described, the portals, the prisons, the nested boundary of fire above the Earth, has not stopped running. It is running right now, above you, as you watch this. What does Enoch's map mean to you? Tell us below. And if removed texts surface every week, so does this channel. Subscribe, and none of it stays buried.